My name is Irene Willett. I'm 32 years old. 5 years ago, my older sister told our parents I dropped out of medical school. One lie, one calculated, vicious lie, and it cost me my entire family. They cut me off completely, blocked my number, skipped my residency graduation. They weren't at my wedding. For 5 long years, I was no one's daughter, no one's sister. Then, last month, my sister was rushed into the trauma bay, bleeding out, unconscious, minutes from death. The team paged the chief of trauma surgery. The doors swung open. When my mother saw the name on the white coat walking toward her dying daughter, she grabbed my father's arm so hard she left bruises that lasted a week. If you've ever been betrayed by the people who were supposed to love you most, if you've ever fantasized about the moment the truth finally crashes down on them, smash that like button right now. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and drop in the comments, have you ever been erased by your own family? I want to know I'm not alone tonight. Let's go back to the beginning. Fall of 2019, a modest kitchen table in Hartford, Connecticut. The last time my father ever looked at me with anything close to pride. There were 2 daughters in the Willett house, but only one ever really mattered. My sister Monica is 3 years older. She came out performing, school plays, student council, the girl who could charm any adult at any dinner party into laughing at her jokes. My parents, Jerry and Diane, salt of the earth middle class, dad managing a manufacturing plant, mom doing part-time bookkeeping, adored her for it. They valued 2 things above everything, appearances and obedience. Monica delivered both flawlessly. I was the quiet one, nose in a biology textbook at Thanksgiving while Monica held court. I wasn't rebellious, I wasn't difficult, I was simply invisible. There's a difference between being forgotten and never being seen at all. 8th grade, I was the only kid from our school to make it to the state science fair. Same weekend, Monica had a community theater performance. Guess where my parents went? I came home with a 2nd place ribbon. Dad glanced at it. That's nice, right? He didn't ask what my project was. He never did. I told myself it didn't hurt. I told myself I didn't need the attention. I poured everything into grades, AP classes, college applications. If I couldn't be the daughter they noticed, I'd be the daughter they couldn't ignore. And for one brief shining moment, I was. April 2016, acceptance letter from Oregon Health and Science University Medical School, 3,000 miles from Hartford. Dad read it at the kitchen table, eyebrows up. Oregon Health and Science, he said slowly, tasting the words. That's a real medical school. Then he looked at me, really looked, and said the 5 words I'd waited 18 years to hear. Maybe you'll make something of yourself after all, Irene. It wasn't warm, it wasn't loving, but from my father, it was oxygen. Mom called Aunt Ruth, called her sister, called 2 neighbors. Irene got into medical school. Can you believe it? Her voice had a pitch I'd never heard before. Genuine pride, directed at me. Across the table, Monica smiled, but only with her mouth. Her eyes were calculating, measuring, recalibrating. I know that now. Back then, I thought she was just tired from the drive. That week, she started calling me more, 2-3 times a week. How's packing going? Who's your roommate? What's Portland like? She remembered every name I mentioned. I thought my sister was finally seeing me. I thought getting into med school had unlocked something between us. I was wrong. I was handing her ammunition. 3rd year of medical school. That's when everything shattered. My roommate, my best friend, was Sarah Mitchell. Foster care kid, no family. The only reason I survived 1st year. When I called home once during brutal anatomy week, and Mom said, "Can't talk, Irene, Monica's having a rough day at work," it was Sarah who sat on our apartment floor with me and said, "Their loss. Now get up. We have cadavers to memorize." August of 3rd year. Sarah diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. No support system, just me. I went to the dean the next morning, explained. He approved a 1-semester leave, caregiver status, paperwork filed, spot held for January. All legitimate, all documented. I moved into her spare bedroom, drove her to chemo, held her hand at 3 a.m. when pain made breathing impossible. I called Monica to tell her. I don't know why. Maybe I still believed the sister she'd pretended to be. I told her everything. Her voice was syrup. Oh my God, Irene, I'm so sorry. Take all the time you need. I won't say a word to Mom and Dad. They'd just worry. 3 days later, she called our parents. I'll never know the exact words she used that night. I only learned the full scope 5 years later, when it all unraveled in the one place none of us expected. But the damage was instant. 11 p.m., plastic chair next to Sarah's hospital bed. She'd had a bad reaction to chemo, admitted overnight. Phone lit up. Dad, your sister told us everything. The dropping out, the boyfriend, all of it. Voice flat, arctic. Dad, that's not... Monica showed us the messages, proof. I pressed my palm against the wall to steady myself. What messages? What proof? I'm in a hospital right now. I'm taking care of my friend. Monica said you'd say exactly that. Said you'd have a story ready. Mom on the line, voice shaking. How could you lie to us for a whole year, Irene? Mom, please listen. I filed a leave of absence. I can show you the paperwork. I can give you the dean's number. Enough, Dad again. Don't call this house until you're ready to tell the truth. You've embarrassed this family enough. Line went dead. I sat on that hospital floor for 20 minutes. Sarah's IV beeped behind the curtain. My phone still showed call duration, 4 minutes and 12 seconds. That's how long it took my parents to erase me. 20 minutes later, text from Monica. I'm sorry, Ree. I had to tell them. I couldn't keep your secret anymore. Broken heart emoji. She wasn't sorry. She just executed the cleanest, most precise strike of her life. I was 3,000 miles from Hartford, $46 in my checking account, and I had just become no one's daughter. I tried. You need to know I tried. Over the next 5 days, I called 14 times. First 3 to voicemail. Fourth, Dad blocked. Mom, 2 days later. 2 emails, 1 short, 1 long with leave paperwork attached, Dean's number, Sarah's oncologist. No reply. Handwritten letter, priority mail from Portland, returned unopened 5 days later. My mother's handwriting on the envelope. I called Aunt Ruth, Dad's younger sister, the only person who ever treated me like I mattered equally. Ruth called Dad that evening, called me back 40 minutes later, voice heavy. He told me to stay out of it, sweetheart. Said you've made your bed. She tried to tell him about the leave. He hung up on her. 5 days, 14 calls, 2 emails, 1 letter, 1 intermediary. Every single attempt rejected, blocked, or returned. And here's what sealed it for me. This wasn't new. This was the pattern of my entire life, compressed into its most brutal form. Every science fair they skipped, every award they ignored, every time Monica's version was gospel and mine was dismissed. This was just the loudest, final iteration. On the 6th day, I stopped calling. Not because I gave up, because I realized they had chosen long before Monica gave them permission to stop pretending. Sarah died on a Sunday morning in December. Quiet, monitor flatlined, pale winter light through the hospice window. I was the only one in the room. No one from my family called. No one knew. The one person I told, Monica, was too busy tending her lie to care that the reason for my dropout had just stopped breathing. I organized a small funeral. 6 people came. Sarah's former foster sister drove up from Eugene, a couple classmates, a nurse from oncology who'd grown fond of her. I stood at the front of a chapel built for 60 and read a eulogy to empty pews. I didn't cry. I'd been crying for 3 months straight. There was nothing left. That night, alone in our apartment, her coffee mug still on the counter, her jacket still by the door, I opened my laptop, stared at the re-enrollment application for January. Then I found it, tucked inside her copy of Grey's Anatomy, our running joke. She'd bookmarked the pancreas chapter with a yellow sticky note. Shaky handwriting. Finish what you started, Irene. Become the doctor I know you are. Don't you dare let anyone, especially your own blood, tell you who you are. She wrote it weeks before she died. She knew she wouldn't be here to push me. I closed the laptop, opened it again, filled out the form. 2 options, crumble or climb. I chose to climb. Not for my parents, not for revenge, for Sarah, and for the version of myself she believed in. Back in January, no family, no net, extra loans, part-time research job, hospital cafeteria leftovers more nights than I'll admit. Med school doesn't care about your trauma. Anatomy exams don't pause because your family disowned you. 12-hour rotations don't shorten because you cried in the supply closet at 2 a.m. So I stopped crying and started working. I worked like my life depended on it, because it did. Graduated on time, no one from Hartford came. Matched into surgical residency at Mercy Crest Medical Center, a level 1 trauma center, one of the busiest in Connecticut. That's where I met Dr. Margaret Thornton, Maggie, 58, Chief of Surgery Emeritus, built like steel wrapped in a lab coat. She became the mentor I needed, the mother figure I'd lost. 3rd-year residency, I met Nathan Caldwell, civil rights attorney, pro bono at the community clinic near the hospital. Calm eyes, dry humor. First person I told the full story to, who didn't flinch, didn't pity, didn't try to fix. He just listened, then said 4 words, "You deserve better." We married on a Saturday in Maggie's backyard. 30 guests. Nathan's father walked me down the aisle. I'd sent an invitation to Hartford. It came back unopened, like my letter. Aunt Ruth was there. She cried enough for 2 parents. After the ceremony, Maggie handed me a sealed envelope. "A nomination," she said. "Don't open it yet. You're not ready." I tucked it away. 5 years passed. I became someone they wouldn't recognize. If you've ever been in a situation where your family refused to hear your side, where the truth didn't matter because someone else's lie was louder, drop a fire emoji in the comments right now. And if you think my parents are going to regret this, type karma. Because what happened next, even I didn't see it coming. January, present day. I'm 32, chief of trauma surgery at Mercy Crest, house in the suburbs, porch with good morning light, husband who makes me laugh every day, golden retriever named Hippocrates, Hippo, who never judges me for midnight cereal. It's a good life, a real one, built brick by brick with my own hands. But there's an ache that never fully fades. It lives in the hollow space between your ribs, right where family is supposed to be. I don't wake up crying anymore. I don't check my phone for Hartford area codes. But every Thanksgiving, there's a flash. Setting the table, counting plates, feeling the absence like a phantom limb. Aunt Ruth still calls every Sunday, my thread back to that world. I never ask about them, but I listen when she volunteers. Mom and Dad healthy. Monica, divorced 2 years ago, selling medical devices now. The irony is not lost on me. Last week, Ruth called, voice cautious. "Irene, there's something I need to tell you about Monica, something concerning." Before she finished, pager, trauma activation. I told her I'd call back. I never got the chance, because what she was trying to warn me about was already on its way, hurtling down I-91 at 60 miles per hour in a sedan about to run a red light. Within the hour, it would be lying on my operating table, bleeding out, my parents in the waiting room, my name on the chart. I just didn't know it yet. Let me back up. Monica's lie wasn't a single event. It was a campaign. Ruth had been feeding me pieces over the years, reluctantly, carefully, like diffusing a bomb 1 wire at a time. The picture was worse than I'd imagined. For 5 years, Monica maintained the narrative. Every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every gathering, she played grieving older sister. We don't really talk about Irene. It's too painful for Mom and Dad. Head shake, lowered voice, silence did the work. But she didn't stop at silence. She added details. Told Grandma I was homeless. Told Uncle Pete's wife I was in and out of rehab. Told Mom on Christmas Eve 2 years ago that she'd tried to reach me and I'd refused, that I cut them off. She flipped the entire story. At Thanksgiving, Ruth told me once, voice tight with fury, "I've begged Irene to come home. She won't even answer my calls. I think she hates us." Meanwhile, I was 3 floors down in an operating room saving a teenager's life. The genius of it, and I use that word with disgust, was that Monica didn't need my parents to forget me. She needed them to believe I had abandoned them. That way, their grief became proof, their silence became justified, and she remained exactly what she'd always been, the loyal daughter, the only one who stayed. She wasn't protecting them, she was protecting her position. And there was one more thing Ruth told me, something I didn't learn until much later, that made the picture even darker. But I'll get to that. 6 months ago, Nathan told me over coffee. He'd sat on it for 2 years. "There's something I didn't tell you." He set his mug down carefully, the way he does before delivering bad news in lawyer voice. 2 years ago, I got a call from HR at your old hospital. Someone using a fake name asked about your employment status, wanted to know if you'd ever been disciplined, if your credentials were legitimate. I stared at him. Who? He had a colleague trace it. IP address came back to Hartford. Kitchen went quiet. Hippo's tail thumped. Coffee maker hissed. She was trying to find something, I said. Anything, Nathan confirmed. Anything to keep the story alive, to prove you were a fraud. She didn't find anything. No, because there's nothing to find. I wrapped my hands around my mug so tight, I felt the heat bleed through the ceramic. She didn't just lie about me once, Nathan. She's been hunting me. He put his hand over mine. That's not sibling rivalry, Irene. That's something else entirely. He was right. Monica hadn't told a lie and moved on. She'd built an architecture of deception, load-bearing walls, reinforced beams, 5 years making sure none of them cracked. Every holiday story, every whispered rumor, every fake inquiry, another brick. I could have done something then, called a lawyer, confronted my parents, blown it open, but I didn't. Because life was about to do it for me in the most brutal, public, ironic way imaginable. It started with a pager. 3:07 a.m., Thursday night, January. Pager dragged me out of dead sleep. Nathan murmured something. Hippo lifted his head. Screen glowed. Level 1 trauma, MVC. Single female, 35. Blunt abdominal trauma. Hemodynamically unstable. ETA, 8 minutes. Dressed in 4 minutes. Driving in 6. Roads empty. Wet. January black. I ran the case in my head. Mechanism of injury, probable organs, surgical options. Likely splenic rupture. Possible liver laceration. I'd done this 100 times. Badged in through ambulance bay. Walked to trauma bay. Team assembling. 2 residents, trauma nurse, anesthesia standby. Picked up intake iPad from charge nurse station. Swiped to patient chart. Patient, Monica Woolett. DOB, March 14, 1990. Emergency contact, Gerald Woolett, father. I stopped walking. Hallway noise, beeping, intercom, squeak of shoes on linoleum, all pulled back like a tide. For 2, maybe 3 seconds, I wasn't a surgeon. I was 26, sitting on a hospital floor in Portland, phone warm in my hand, listening to dial tone. Dr. Woolett? Charge nurse Linda at my shoulder. You okay? I blinked, set iPad down. I'm fine. Prep Bay 2. Page Dr. Patel. Standby. Ambulance siren wailed closer. Behind that ambulance, I knew, before I saw them, were two people I hadn't faced in 5 years. Doors cracked open. Stretcher came fast. Monica strapped down, unconscious, oxygen mask fogging shallow breaths, blood on her shirt, one hand limp off the rail. Paramedics rattled vitals, BP dropping, heart rate climbing, 2 large-bore IVs wide open. Behind them, running, my parents. Mom looked a decade older, hair thinner, face drawn, bathrobe, slippers on wrong feet. Dad in flannel and jeans thrown on in panic, face color of old paper. "That's my daughter," he shouted past triage nurse. "Where are they taking her? I need the doctor in charge." Nurse Carla, 3 years working with me, hands up. "Sir, family waits in surgical waiting area. Trauma team is here. The chief is handling personally." The chief. Dad grabbed Carla's arm. "Get me the chief now." Carla glanced through glass partition toward trauma bay, saw me, gowned, gloved, badge hanging, read the name, eyes wide for a fraction of a second. I gave small head shake. "Not now." She composed herself. "Sir, the chief is prepping for surgery. You'll be updated soon. Waiting room this way." Parents led down hall. Mom whispering prayers, hands clasped, knuckles white. Dad kept turning back, looking through every window. "She's all we have," he said to no one. "Please, she's all we have." I heard it through the partition glass. Every word. "She's all we have." As if I had never existed. I stepped into scrub room alone. 30 seconds. That's all I allowed myself. Hot water over hands. Looked in stainless steel mirror, distorted, warped. The way everything felt. Scrub cap on, badge visible. Face of a woman surgically removed from her family tree. Now being asked to surgically save the woman who held the saw. Part of me wanted to walk out, call Patel, let someone else carry this. Let my parents owe their daughter's life to a stranger, not to me. Cleaner, simpler. But there was a woman on that table with a ruptured spleen and grade 3 liver laceration, losing blood faster than we could replace it. She would die in the next 30-40 minutes if the best surgeon in the building didn't operate. And the best surgeon in the building was me. Paged Patel directly. "I have a conflict of interest. Patient is family. Disclosing now, documenting in chart. If my judgment is compromised at any point, you take lead. No questions." Patel. "Understood, Chief." Told Linda to note disclosure in nursing record. Everything by the book. Fresh gloves. Pushed through OR doors. Looked down at the table. My sister's face. Bruised. Smaller than I remembered. Thinner. Worry lines around eyes that weren't there 5 years ago. For 3 seconds, she wasn't the woman who destroyed my life. She was a body on my table. And that was exactly how I needed her to be. Let's go. Scalpel. 3 hours and 40 minutes. That's how long it took to rebuild what the steering column and red light had torn apart. Ruptured spleen removed. Grade 3 liver laceration repaired with precision sutures, layer by painstaking layer. Internal bleeding from 2 mesenteric vessels, clamped, cauterized, controlled. I didn't speak unless necessary. Suction, clamp, lap pad, retract. Hands moved the way they'd been trained. Steady, deliberate, fast when speed mattered, slow when precision mattered more. Residents watched. They always watch my cases. I felt their attention sharpen when the liver repair got tricky. I didn't falter. I couldn't afford to. Final closing stitch. Monica's vitals stable. BP normalized. Output clear. She was alive. Dr. Patel, silent in corner the whole time, pulled mask down. "Irene?" That was flawless. Want me to talk to the family? I peeled off gloves, dropped them in the bin, washed hands, automatic, methodical. No, this one's mine. Caught reflection in scrub room mirror. Same face, same badge, but something had shifted. For 5 years, I'd been the daughter who disappeared. Now I was the surgeon who just pulled her sister back from the edge of death. Those two facts were about to collide in a waiting room 40 feet away, in front of my entire night shift team. I straightened my scrub top, checked badge, took one breath, walked toward the waiting room. The hallway had never felt so long. Waiting room had that fluorescent hush hospitals get at 7 a.m. 2 other families in far corners, TV murmured weather to no one. In center row, rigid, sleepless, terrified, my parents. I pushed through double doors, still in surgical scrubs, mask down around neck, scrub cap off, hair pulled back, badge at chest level. Dr. Irene Willett, MD, FACS, Chief of Trauma Surgery. Dad stood first. Reflex, need to be in charge. Doctor, how is she? Is Monica? He stopped. Eyes dropped to badge, rose to my face, dropped to badge again. I watched recognition move through him like something physical, tremor from hands to jaw. Mom looked up half-second later, lips parted, no sound. Right hand shot to Dad's forearm, clamped down, fingers digging into flannel. 5 seconds of silence. 5 seconds that held 5 years. I spoke first, calm, clinical, same voice I use for every family. Mr. and Mrs. Willett, I'm Dr. Willett, Chief of Trauma Surgery. Your daughter Monica sustained a ruptured spleen and grade 3 liver laceration in the accident. Surgery was successful. She's stable and in ICU. You'll see her in about 1 hour. Mr. and Mrs., not Mom and Dad. I watched it land. I watched it cut. Behind me, through glass partition, Linda and 2 nurses watching. They knew. Faces said it. They'd already put it together. Mom moved first, stepped toward me, arms lifting, sob breaking through chest. Irene! Oh my God, Irene! I stepped back, half step, polite, unmistakable. She froze. Hands hung in air between us, then slowly, painfully, dropped. Dad's voice like gravel over concrete. You're a doctor. I am. You're the chief. I am. But Monica said what exactly? He opened mouth, closed it, opened again, closed. I watched the machinery of his mind trying to reassemble 5 years of certainty, crumbling in real time. Mom crying now, not quietly. We thought you dropped out. We thought she told us you were... She told you I dropped out, that I had a boyfriend with a drug problem, that I was homeless, that I refused to contact you. Voice level, no shaking, no tears. I'd rehearsed this moment 1,000 times, in shower, in car, in dark before sleep. Never thought it would happen in surgical scrubs under fluorescent lights. None of it was true. Not a single word. Dad tried to redirect, old instinct. This isn't the time or place, Irene. Your sister is in ICU. I know. I just spent 3 hours and 40 minutes making sure she survives. So yes, Dad, I'm aware of where she is. He had nothing. For the first time in my life, my father, a man who never lacked a decree, had absolutely nothing. Silence did the work I never could. 5 years of blocked calls, returned letters, ignored emails, none made a dent. But standing here alive, accomplished, wearing proof on my chest, that was louder than any letter. Mom reached for a chair back to steady herself. The letters, she whispered. You said you sent letters. 2 emails with leave paperwork attached, 1 handwritten, mailed priority. You sent it back unopened. I recognized your handwriting on the envelope. She pressed fist against mouth. Dad stared at floor. I called 14 times in 5 days, asked Aunt Ruth to talk to you. You told her to stay out of it. I wasn't accusing, I was reciting. Facts don't need volume. Then Linda at door. Dr. Roulette, sorry to interrupt. Board chair saw overnight trauma log. Physician of the Year Selection Committee sends congratulations on tonight's surgical outcome. She said it routine, had no idea she detonated a second bomb. Mom looked at me, eyes swollen, mascara gone, bathrobe still on. Physician of the Year? It's internal, it's nothing. Turn to Linda. Thank you. Need to check post-op vitals. Excuse me. Walked toward ICU corridor. Measured steps, spine straight. Didn't look back. But heard Mom's voice behind me, small, ruined. Jerry, what have we done? And I heard something I'd never heard before. My father saying nothing. Because silence, for the first time, was the only honest thing he had left. 4 hours later, ICU room 6. Monitor beeping, morning light through blinds. I walked in for standard post-op assessment. Vitals, drainage, wound check. Routine. Except nothing was routine. Monica's eyes open, glassy, unfocused from anesthesia. Blinked at ceiling, at IV pole, then gaze tracked sideways to me. Squinted, red badge, red again. Color drained from her face, the way I've seen only in patients given terminal prognosis. Irene. Good morning, Monica. I'm your attending surgeon. You sustained ruptured spleen and grade 3 liver laceration from accident. Surgery went well. You'll make full recovery. You're a doctor? Not question, reckoning. I'm chief of this department, have been for 2 years. Watched same spectrum Dad went through, but slower. Morphine drip, dawning terror, confusion, disbelief, fear. Then the flicker behind eyes I'd seen my whole life. Calculation. Even now, lying in hospital bed with my sutures holding her liver together, Monica was trying to figure out how to spin this. Irene, listen, I can explain. You don't need to explain anything to me. Nodded toward glass door. 2 figures in hallway, faces wrecked, eyes red. You need to explain it to them. Updated chart, checked drain, left without another word. Didn't stay to hear what happened next, but entire ICU floor heard it. Room wasn't soundproof. Neither was the truth. Okay, I have to pause. What do you think Monica told my parents when they walked into that ICU room? Option A, she finally tells the truth. Option B, doubles down on the lie. Option C, plays victim again. Drop your guess in comments right now. And if you haven't subscribed, do it now, because the next part is where everything comes crashing down. I learned from Linda, who heard from ICU nurse, who heard through alas. If you guessed C, congratulations, you know my sister. Moment parents walked in, Monica started crying. Big, heaving sobs, pulled at stitches, spiked heart monitor. Mom, Dad, you have to believe me. I never meant for it to go this far. I was scared for her. Dad at foot of bed, voice barely controlled. Monica, Irene is a doctor, chief of trauma surgery at this hospital. I didn't know that. She said she sent letters, emails, called 14 times, asked Ruth to intervene. Mom, flat, hollow. Is that true? She's exaggerating. You know how she... Ruth tried to tell us. Dad, voice cracked. Not sadness, structural failure of everything he believed for 5 years. 2 years ago, Ruth called, said Irene was in residency, a surgeon. You told us Ruth was lying, trying to cause drama. Ruth doesn't know the whole story. What is the full story, Monica? Mom, screaming in ICU. Nurse outside flinched. Patient visitor 2 rooms down looked up from phone. Monica, IVs in both arms, my sutures in her abdomen, did what she always does. Pivoted from defense to offense. Fine, she's a doctor. Good for her. But she abandoned this family, never called. Because we blocked her number, Monica. Dad, hand on bed rail, knuckles white. Because you told us to. Heart monitor beeped. IV dripped. Monica, for perhaps first time in adult life, had no script. Aunt Ruth walked into ICU at 9:45 that morning. I'd called her from scrub room after surgery, not as weapon, but because Monica was her niece too. Ruth deserved to know, but Ruth came prepared. 5 years of silence does that to a woman with filing system and long memory. She didn't sit, didn't hug anyone, stood middle of room. I've been waiting 5 years for this conversation. I'm not waiting 1 more minute. Pulled out phone, opened folder labeled I learned later, Irene proof. Screenshots of every email I sent parents first desperate days. PDF leave of absence signed by dean, registrar's seal. Re-enrollment confirmation. Photo residency graduation. Me and Cap, diploma, Aunt Ruth beside me. Only family in frame. Held phone out. Mom took it, trembling hands. And here, Ruth said, swiping. Text from Monica to me 4 years ago. Read aloud. Don't tell Mom and Dad about Irene's residency. It'll just confuse them. They're finally at peace. Room went still. Monica stared at ceiling, jaw set, but calculation gone from eyes, replaced by a look I'd never seen, someone who'd run out of rooms to hide in. You told me to keep quiet for family's sake. Ruth straight at Monica. But this family hasn't had peace. It's had a 5-year blackout. Ruth turned to parents. And you two, you let this happen. Not because you didn't love Irene, because loving Monica was easier. Nobody argued. Nothing left to argue with. Mom sank into chair beside Monica's bed, but she wasn't looking at Monica anymore. She was scrolling Ruth's phone, reading my emails one by one. Lips moved as she read. Stopped on last one, night before residency graduation. I know what it says, reread it 100 times in sent folder. Mom, I don't know if you'll read this. I graduated residency today. I wish you were here. I'm still your daughter. I never stopped being your daughter. Mom doubled over in chair, not crying, beyond crying. Sound of someone meeting the full weight of a mistake they can never undo. Dad at window, back to room, shoulders shaking. Ruth told me later, first time in 62 years she saw her older brother cry. Not at their mother's funeral, not when business nearly failed, not ever. He cried now, silently, facing parking lot while monitor beeped. Monica lay in bed, stopped talking. IV dripped, eyes fixed on ceiling point. Nothing left to perform. No audience that would believe her. Persona she'd worn 35 years lay in pieces on linoleum. No charm, tears, reframing would put it back together. You missed her wedding, Jerry. Ruth, quiet now, spent. Nathan's father walked her down aisle. Do you understand what that means? Dad didn't turn, but spoke. 4 words, low, cracked down center. What have we done? Not question, conviction. Knowing truth and knowing what to do with it, 2 different things. I came back that afternoon, end of 22-hour shift. Parents still there, of course. Where else? Back to the house where they'd spent 5 years pretending they only had 1 daughter. Mom stood second I walked in, face swollen, eyes nearly shut from crying. Irene, baby, I'm so sorry. I'm so... Held up hand, gentle but firm. I hear you. I believe you're sorry, but sorry is a word, starting place, not finish line. What I need is time. Dad turned from window, looked like he'd aged 5 years since morning. We want to make this right. Then understand something. Voice even, not anger, clarity after burning through every other emotion. I'm not the girl you sent away, not the girl who begged you to listen 5 days from 3,000 miles. I'm someone who built whole life without you. If you want part of it now, it's on my terms. Not Monica's, not yours, mine. Dad opened mouth, old reflex, closed it, nodded, small, devastated. Looked at Monica on bed, eyes open, watching me. When you're recovered, I said, you and I are going to have conversation. Real one. But not today. Today, you're my patient. I don't mix the two. Left. Spine straight, steps measured. Didn't turn around. I'm not closing door, but I decide when it opens, how wide, who walks through. 2 weeks later, Monica discharged, incision healing, rest of her, not so much. I chose location, coffee shop in Middletown, halfway between her apartment and my house, neutral ground. Nathan came, sat separate table near window, pretending to read briefs, wasn't pretending. Monica walked in, hollowed out, lost weight, surgery plus not eating. Confidence she wore like cologne, gone. First time in memory, my older sister looked exactly her age. Sat down, wrapped hands around cup she didn't drink from, stared at table. No preamble. I'm not going to yell, not going to list every lie. You know what you did. What I want to know is why. Silence long enough barista called name echoed off walls. Then, quiet. Because you were going to be everything I wasn't, and I couldn't handle it. Let that sit. That's honest. First honest thing you've said to me in 10 years. I'm sorry, Irene. I know you are. But sorry doesn't give me back years. Sorry doesn't put Dad at my wedding. Sorry doesn't unsend box Mom shipped back, my high school graduation things, returned like I was dead to her. She looked away, eyes wet, real tears. I know difference now. Then, something I wasn't expecting. I also called your medical school twice, tried to get them to revoke your leave, told them you fabricated caregiver documents. Coffee shop hummed. I stared. Your dean wouldn't listen. He protected you. He didn't protect me, Monica. He believed truth. That's not same thing. Leaned back, took breath. This part I'd mapped night before. Sitting kitchen floor, Hippo's head in lap, Nathan reviewing like closing argument. I'm not cutting you out of my life, but I'm setting conditions. Monica nodded, small, defeated. You will tell full truth to every family member you lied to, every aunt, uncle, cousin who spent 5 years thinking I was in rehab or on street. Correct every story, in writing, email to family group, all 47 people. Ruth confirms everyone receives it. Another nod. Met parents separately following week. Nathan drove. Sat at their kitchen table. Same table Dad read acceptance letter years ago. Same table Monica smiled with just mouth. I'm open to rebuilding, but I need you both in family counseling. Not for me, for yourselves. You need to understand why you believed a lie about own daughter and never once picked up a phone to check. Dad's jaw tightened.
We don't do that in this family. That's exactly why we're here, Dad. Mom, hand on his arm. Yo, Jerry, please. He looked at her, looked at me. Something behind eyes cracked, not open yet, but cracked. Fine. Stood to leave. Turn back. One more thing. Nathan's father walked me down aisle. That happened, that we can't undo it. But if you want to know future grandchildren, start now. Not grand gestures. Consistency. Apologies expire. Boundaries don't. That's difference between sentiment and structure. 1 month later, Physician of the Year Gala. 200 people. Hartford Marquee Ballroom. Surgeons, admins, donors, board members. Crystal glasses clinking. String quartet nobody listened to. I wore simple black dress. Nathan front table, born in suit. Maggie beside him, arms crossed, faintest smile she reserves for moments she engineered years. MC to podium. This year's Physician of the Year. A surgeon whose clinical excellence, composure under pressure, commitment to patients set new standard. Dr. Irene Willett, Chief of Trauma Surgery. Applause. Standing ovation from surgical staff who'd seen me work. Walk to stage. Spotlight warm. Podium solid. Kept it short. 5 years ago I almost quit. Not because I couldn't do work. Because I lost people I thought I needed to keep going. What I learned. People you need aren't always ones you're born to. Sometimes they're ones who choose you. Looked at Maggie. Nathan. Team in third row. Then back of ballroom, last row. 2 seats Ruth quietly arranged. My parents. Mom in navy dress. Probably bought that week. Dad in tie he clearly hated. Hands in laps. Looking up at stage. Grief and pride warring on same face. And sometimes, I said, the ones you're born to find their way back. Late, but here. Mom covered mouth. Dad stood. Applause filled rest. After gala Dad found Nathan near coat check. Stood long moment. I owe you apology. I should have been one. Nathan, gracious core, extended hand. With all due respect, sir, you should have been a lot of things, but we're here now. Dad's eyes red. Didn't let go right away. Monica sent email Wednesday night. Ruth confirmed delivery, all 47 addresses. I didn't read until next morning. Nathan brought coffee. Set laptop on kitchen table. Gave me space. 3 paragraphs. No excuses. No flowers. Facts laid bare. She lied about me leaving med school. Fabricated evidence. Maintained deception 5 years. Deliberately prevented parents learning truth. Ended. Irene never abandoned this family. I made sure they believed she did. That is entirely on me. Responses came in waves. Uncle Pete's wife called Ruth in tears. Repeated Monica's rehab story at book club 2 years ago. Cousin David in Vermont. One-line reply. I don't know who you are anymore. Grandma, Nana June 89 matriarch who stopped asking about me at Thanksgiving because Monica said it was too painful. Called me directly. I'm 89 years old. Voice paper thin but furious. Never been lied to so thoroughly by my own blood. Irene, forgive old woman for not seeing it. Nothing to forgive, Nana. You were lied to. We all were. No boycott. No group text declaring her dead. But trust she'd stockpiled. Currency she spent 35 years. Was gone. Felt in silence after email. Replies that didn't come. Invitations that quietly stopped. No one punished Monica. They just stopped believing her. For someone whose identity was built on being believed, that was punishment enough. Parents started counseling February. Therapist in West Hartford, Dr. Rena. Direct. Doesn't let you dodge. Mom took to it immediately. Carried passivity like stone in coat pocket. First time Dr. Rena named it, enabling through silence. Mom broke down. Didn't stop crying 40 minutes. Ruth told me. I wasn't there. Dad struggled. Went. Saturday. Answered in fewest words possible. Dr. Rena told him. Ruth relayed. His need to be right, refusal to revisit decision once made, was load-bearing wall of entire disaster. Monica provided lie. Dad's pride cemented it. He didn't argue. First sign of change. 3 weeks in, Mom mailed letter. Handwritten. Irony not lost on either of us. I failed you. Not just when I believed Monica, but every time I chose peace over fairness. Every time I let your father's temper decide truth. Every time I saw you standing in doorway, quiet, waiting, and told myself you were fine because easier than admitting I wasn't brave enough to fight for you. Read at kitchen table. Hippo asleep on feet. Nathan next room pretending not to listen. Didn't cry. Held letter long time. Open drawer where I keep things that matter. Sarah's card, returned letters, unopened wedding invitation. Placed it inside. Same drawer. Different side. Progress isn't always dramatic. Sometimes just rearranging what you carry. Monica started therapy too, separate from family sessions. Ruth told me. Monica mentioned awkwardly second coffee meeting. We've had 3 now. Short. Stiff. Each slightly more honest. First, she stared at hands, said nothing useful. Second, told me about therapy. Third, said something that landed. I don't expect you to forgive me. Don't know if I deserve it. But I want you to know I'm trying not to be that person anymore. Sipped coffee. Set it down. Then show me. Words are cheap in this family. Always have been. Show me with time. She nodded. Didn't push. Didn't perform. That was new. Do I believe her? Honestly, I don't know. Spent lifetime reading Monica's performances. Still not sure where acting ends, real self begins. Maybe she doesn't know either. Maybe that's what therapy is for. But I believe in possibility of change. That's all I can offer now. She carries my surgical scar. 7 inches left upper abdomen, fading red to white over year. Every time she dresses, catches reflection, she'll see mark left by sister she tried to erase. Sister who, when it mattered most, held scalpel with steady hands and chose oath over anger. I carry her damage in memory. 5 years silence lodged between ribs. Or even, in strangest, most painful way two sisters can be even. Maybe, with enough time, unglamorous, consistent time, we'll find way to something that isn't even. Something better. Something new. Late now. Sitting in office at Mercy Crest. Hallway quiet. That hospital stillness after visitors leave, before night shift energy. Nameplate on door. Diplomas on wall. Not for me. For residents. On desk, framed wedding photo. Nathan, Maggie, and Ruth, 30 guests, backyard October light. No parents in frame. On bookshelf beside it, new photo. 3 weeks ago. Mom and Dad on my front porch. Coats on. Slightly lost. Dad hands in pockets. Mom mid-smile. Trying too hard but trying. Awkward. Imperfect. Boo. If you're watching and see yourself in my story, whether silenced or one who did silencing, I want to tell you something. Truth doesn't expire. Doesn't matter if 5 days or 5 years. Truth has patient way of showing up exactly when needed most. You can't rush it. But you can't outrun it either. I didn't get revenge on my sister. I didn't need revenge. I became someone who didn't need it. And that turned out to be most devastating response of all. Not scheme. Not plan. Just life lived fully on my own terms. If you're waiting for family to see you, really see you, stop waiting. See yourself first. Build life you deserve with people who show up. When others finally turn around, let them find door you control. You decide when it opens. How wide? Who walks through? That's not revenge. That's architecture. Sunday morning. First week February. Light snow falling outside kitchen window. Kind that doesn't stick, but makes everything look gently forgiven. Making French toast. Nathan grinding coffee beans, singing off-key to radio. Hippo under table, optimistic about crumbs. Doorbell rings. Wipe hands on towel. Open door. Mom and Dad on porch. Winter coats. Dad holding bottle orange juice, like not sure what to do with hands. Mom tin homemade shortbread. Ones she used to make for every Monica school event. None of mine. Hi, Mom says. Nervous. Hopeful. Come in. Coffee's almost ready. Dad steps inside. Looks around kitchen like cataloging everything. House he's never been in. Life he almost never knew existed. Clears throat. Can I help with anything? Look at him. My father. 62. Standing in my kitchen first time. Asking permission to be useful. You can set table, Dad. Nods. Goes to cabinet I point to. Takes out plates. Counts them. Looks at me. 4. 4. Sets them down one by one. Carefully, like might break if not gentle. Nathan hands him coffee. Mom hugs me at stove. Not dramatic movie hug. Quiet one. Arms around me. Forehead against shoulder. No words. Holding on. Hippo thumps tail. Snow falls outside. French toast sizzles. It's not perfect. Not childhood deserved. Not reconciliation movies promise. But it's real. And real is more than I had for very long time. My name is Dr. Irene Willett. I'm 32 years old. And I am finally, slowly, carefully, letting myself be someone's daughter again. 4 plates. It's a start. If this story resonated, if it made you think about your family, your boundaries, someone lost and found, leave comment. Tell me, what would you have done? Would you have opened that door? If this gave you rush of justice, Smash like, subscribe for more epic tales, share your revenge story below. Click next video in description for another one you'll love. Thank you for being here tonight. I'll see you next time.